Alright, so it's a continuation of the chapter 2 again, same thing, same thing. And here's a disclaimer. I forgot to show this last time, so see it and move over. Alright. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, this is the important thing. So all these illustrators, I did get permission from every single one of them that I could share their names online. So I am permitted to share these. Yeah, just so that if you get confused regard so like I don't think anybody would, but in case there's some of you who are like, oh, did you even get the permission of those illustrators that you can share their names? Yep, I already did get their permission. That the first thing. Nah, that wasn't the first thing. When the illustrations all ended, I'm like, oh, can I put this in the book and possibly on online and stuff like that? And they were like, oh yeah, sure, cool, why not? All right. So, anyways, yeah, let's resume. All right. So where did I left off was during engineers. All right. Yeah, the cold chill. Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Commander Lucas cleared his throat. What are you guys doing right here? Carpus smiled. We are practicing with the catapult. We felt it necessary that we get some hands-on practice before the soldiers need our help later on. You already practiced with it before we docked here. Stop messing around and come help us load. Other guys are coming right now and rated goods need to be stocked into the ships real fast. Commander Lucas gazed at them and pointed at Simeon. You're the spy who wasn't assigned anything, right? Simeon slowly nodded. Perfect. I have a task for you then. Get on the horse and scout out the surroundings to see if any enemies are chasing us. Yes, Commander. Simeon immediately went away to do his task. Then the others went back to hauling goods, and Commander Lucas went around checking up other soldiers. What the? Why are they just standing around at the harbor? Commander Burke said. Sir? You didn't give them any other orders, the wagon driver said. Out of severe stress, Commander Burke grabbed his beard and pulled on it, and stood on the wagon looking down at his soldiers. You all nitwits! Didn't I tell you to catch up to them? Just because they left by the river without leaving any big ships for you to catch up to them doesn't mean you all get to stand around here doing nothing. He cursed much in anger. Don't you have feet? It's common sense. They must not have gone far down. So you all could march down and get to the village dock, where the enemies have their own ships. Then we'll all smite them when they're situating themselves to really flee. Many soldiers heard his orders loud and clear, so they hastily regrouped and continued their march. By the time Commander Kairos and the first group arrived at their ships, the captives were lined along the dock, and the wagons were at the entrance. Two of them had both captives and raided goods, while another one only had raided goods, and one of them seemed missing for now. Then Captain Niles' archers and third squads of Commander Lefteris and Lapidos were working hard and loading the goods and captives into the rightful ships. As time flew by, some boats made it to the shore and more soldiers got off. Therefore, Ephraim entrusted the siphon cart to Apacius and Lucio, while he went on to help out others. Hey Lucio, where do you think we should put the siphon cart? Apacius said. Lucio was sitting by the cart and he looked around. Just put it in front of the cargo ship's stern castle. Okay, Apacius started pushing. When they arrived at the cargo ship, they encountered Placidus and Constance. Placidus raised up his arms. Hello, Lucio. Lucio simply grunted out his greeting. What's wrong? Placidus came over. Did you argue with Apacius again? Lucio looked away. No. Placidus, we need to leave him alone. Constance carefully looked at Lucio. He's having his period again. Apacius nodded. Placidus looked at Placidus turned to look at Apacius. Hey, how was the fight out there? Apacius shrugged. I don't know. I wasn't able to see it well, but from what I saw through the window of a building, it was hectic. The enemies were clumped up so much that Ephraim was obliterating them with flames. Constance chuckled. Oh, I see. When the soldiers are struggling, always send in the siphonators. Apacios gazed at Constance. And I'm seeing that you guys have been demoted to simple haulers. Placidas flinched. Well, we had no choice, but not for long. He approached closer. We won't be joining we won't be joining you guys on the ship. Alright. For we need to get on the combat ship to operate a catapult. Wow, finally you guys do something other than overseeing slaves, Apacio said. Constance tapped on Placida's shoulder and shook his head. Hey, Placidas, now even he knows our inactivity during raiding campaigns. Placidas chuckled uneasily. I know, right? Our reputation is rock bottom these days. Suddenly, he raised his fist. But guess what? We did something today. When the villagers were trying to flee, we rounded them up and sent them back to the village. Apacios gasped. What? How'd you do that? Placidus was about to speak, but some other soldiers got behind them and urged them to move on. Well, Apacios, nice seeing you again. I'll tell you about that later, Placidus said. Constance waved at him, and they moved on. Then, Apacios and Lucio put the siphon cart at its rightful place. But when they were about to leave the ship, they encountered Commander Kairos and Kix. Commander Kairos frowned and looked around. I need you guys to organize the goods into rightful places and watch over the soldiers for any upcoming danger. He motioned at Kix to come closer. He was looking for you, Apacios. He's one of the fortress keepers, and he said he traveled on the ship last time. So let him stay with you and help you out. He then looked at Lucio for a long time. Lucio, you know where the stuff goes, and I'm trusting that you'll be reasonable in using the siphon. No shooting at other soldiers allowed. Understood? Yes, Commander, Lucio said. Commander Kairos' height brightened upon hearing Lucio's immediate acceptance. So he continued speaking. Apacios, I'm trusting that you do likewise. And when Ephraim comes over, unless he's busy, you immediately hand over the siphon to him. Understand? Apacios nodded. Yes, Commander. Commander Kairos sighed in relief. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Keep on your guard at all times, and I'll see you later. When Commander Kairos moved away a good distance, Lucius spit into the river. Perfect. I wanted to rest for a while. Apacios laughed. Yeah, it's still so hot right now. My shirt and pants are all soaked in sweat. Lucius shook his head. But look at this mess. He wants just us to organize them all. He then looked at Keeks and shook his head. Keeks flamed up. Hey, what was that for? Apacios took a deep breath and became very anxious. He couldn't take anyone's side. He liked Lucio, had months of history with that guy, but he also liked Keeks, due to him being taller than Lucio and the style of which he fought. Keeks fought like an assassin, soon to be a legendary assassin of Princepo. Guys, please, we need to organize these goods, Apacios said. Keeks turned around. I'm letting you pass this time, Lucio. Lucio glared at Keeks. That's right, scaredy cat. Give it up, because you're nothing. Keeks turned back and faced Lucio. What did you say? He moved closer to him and stopped at an arm's reach. Lucio spit into the river again and looked at Keeks. I said, scaredy cat. Give it up, because you're nothing. Apacios didn't know what to do. Keeks was about to throw a punch in Lucio's face, and he knew that Keeks is more than capable of doing that. Undel suddenly appeared. Come on, kids, it's time to work. Lucio and Keeks immediately quelled their anger and parted ways, keeping the distance from each other, but always having Apacios nearby. Therefore, Apacios sighed and started organizing stuff, and the whole time the three of them didn't say anything to each other. Commander Lucas, Simeon jumped down from the horse. The enemies are not far away. They've already reclaimed the first village and are heading this way. Commander Lucas gasped. Okay, but good job. Go back to what you were doing before. I'll let other guys know about this. As more and more soldiers arrived to lend sufficient help, the engineers returned to the catapults to be ready to defend when enemies showed up. Placidus looked at Carpos. Hey, where's Alexios? Carpos seemed uneasy. I don't know. He should be here right now. Constance looked around. He needs to be here. He's the one who kept track of this catapult's strength and how far the munition goes. Yeah, the enemies are about to charge at us right now. We need to shoot it, Placido said. Speaking of the devil, he will come. Alexios proudly walked into the ship, his coat fluttering sideways by the river's breeze. He seemed majestic, and was perceived as like a lifesaver to his comrades who were struggling with decisions. Having some trouble, guys? Alexios raised his eyebrows. I'm here just for you. His comrades greeted him in relief. Sorry about my tardiness. When my wagon reached halfway from the city to here, the horse didn't want to move away any further. Just didn't want to move any further because he was taking number two, Alexios said. Why didn't you slap it with a whip? Constance said. Commander Lapidos just let him do his thing, saying that we have more than enough time. Alexios spread out his arms. Come on, Constance. Even if it's an animal, you shouldn't bother it doing its business. That's just not right. We need to at least respect it in that area. Yeah, Constance. It could be so that he nicely held his stuff without doing it on the ship. We should be grateful for that too, Placido said. After that, Alexios walked over the catapult to inspect. I've already notified the soldiers that we'll operate this catapult when the enemies show up. So they're ready. He gazed at the catapult. You guys have pulled the cup down in the correct way. The trash sack is up. That's good. Alexios paused for a while. The ropes are very important. Make sure to frequently check if they aren't going to break. However, I'm not sure if this sack will pop when it lands on the ground, so make several cuts on it before flinging it. When they were done cutting, Alexios looked ahead at the fields. Yes. Perfect. Let's do a test shot. Immediately, Placidus and Constance took out the metal sticks while Carpus and Alexios looked on. Then the giant leverage stone weighed down the entire thing and threw the garbage sack far into the fields ahead. Placidus and Constance looked on with wonder with their mouths fell open. Then, when the sack landed, they shouted out in joy. Placidus raised his fist. That's right! We're finally working today! Alexios chuckled. Yeah, it's a good change for us. I liked it too when Carpus and I practiced it back in the roads. Okay, load up the next one. Carpus looked around and waved at a soldier. Hey, please bring over the remaining trash sacks for us, then have a torch ready for us to use. The soldier nodded and brought some others to help out. Hey Alexios, Carpus told us that we engineers will have a meeting on this ship, but what are we going to discuss? Constance said. Alexios suddenly became grim. Commander Lapidos will join us. He wants to remind us that we have been slacking way too much, and if we don't pick up the slack, he'll demote all of us to fortress keepers. That's our wage slashed by more than half, and we'll hire some new engineers with the remaining budget. Constance suddenly stopped what he was doing. Oh, okay, then I'm out of here. Alexios cleared his throat, and he was very adamant. He told me that if I don't bring over all of the engineers, then he'll immediately kick out those who didn't show up. Constance sighed. Carpus looked at Alexios. Hey, you never told me about that. Alexios sighed. I did tell you, it's just that you never asked me about it in detail. Placidus chuckled. Well, it's still a good thing that Commander Lapidos is in charge of us. God, who knows what would happen if it was Commander Lucas? Alexios chuckled. Yeah, you're definitely right. They spent some time conversing with each other to catch up with what's going on and tried to sort out some strategies to make an excellent defense. Suddenly, they started hearing the soldiers' shouts and yells. Obviously, something was bothering them. Alexios squinted his eyes as he looked ahead. Oh, no! The enemies are charging at us! Let's operate the catapult right now! Carpus tapped on Alexios' shoulder. Hey, I feel like we should spread pitch on the trash sack, flame it, and fling. Alexios nodded and immediately sent for a soldier to fetch the barrel of pitch and the torch that was requested before. Soon, the catapult was shooting sacks of flaming trash, and the field ahead was filling up with burning trash and grass, which made the smell horrible in their proximity. Still, though, the enemy soldiers, pressured by those marching from behind, charged through, some getting stuck by incoming trash, others dodging them. "Let's go! Our ship has been filled up," Commander Taki said. "We can't waste any time. You've already fought so much, so leave the rest to others," Commander Lucas said. The two commanders hastily grouped up the heavy melee infantries to flee the place in time, and in order to make space for the bulk of captives and supplies being held at other ships, some heavily injured medium melee infantries were allowed to tag along. Then, the combat ship without the catapult sailed away. Upon seeing the first ship sailing away, the soldiers worked harder in loading up the remaining raided goods. "Almost done. We just need to load up this pile," a soldier said. "Too many captives are in the combat ship. Get some filthy villagers out and put them in the small ship that we'll be taking. Take out this woman first. It seems she lost her child and is too crazy to be of any benefit to us." Commander Lefterously yanked away the woman from her husband and kicked her down to the dock. Then her husband followed, and out of mercy he let them stay together. Therefore, soldiers transported them and some other villagers as ordered. "Look, the enemies are here. We need to defend this area," another soldier said. Suddenly, Seth started charging at the enemies while shouting in Turkish, "I will kill you all!" Apparently, he had dropped his crossbow at the cargo ship and was charging without any hindrance. He was shouting a lot as he charged, and his rage and anger were fueled with ever greater extremes of force due to a lot of enemies coming at him all at once. Ephraim started gazing at him and felt very curious as to how Seth was getting that much rage. On the first enemy that came into his reach, he swung his sword and sliced at the enemy's left cheek and crushed out the jawbone and ripped apart half the neck behind it, sending that guy collapsing soon afterwards in extreme pain. Then Seth sprinted right and cut off another enemy's arm, which was holding onto a spear. The enemy cried out in pain and turned right to face Seth. However, Seth swiftly sliced off the guy's neck real fast, sending the head somersaulting to the right. "Feel the despair and agony, never-ending pain," Seth shouted as loud as possible. After that, he let out a loud roar and jumped onto the incoming swordsman. Then he crushed the guy's head, partially ripping it apart as if it was a melon. Thus, the swordsman immediately collapsed down and blood oozed out of his head. 3 killed. More. 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 Lucio. 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 How dare he try to discredit me by saying that I can't kill anybody? I'm really certain that he is looking at me right now. I will prove him wrong. I can kill. I love to kill. This is as refreshing as taking a nice bath after missing it for weeks. It's time to unleash more despair and agony into the enemies. Seth lifted up his visor, then spread out his arms as wide as he could and raised both the shield and sword up into the sky. "I will vanquish you. Get smitten into the depths of hell. You all need to suffer. Die, die, die. Anguish until your pitiful lives end." He again shouted on top of his lungs. Then he knocked over 2 enemies in one swoop with the push of his shield and swiftly stabbed through their chests. After that, he continued stabbing at them, so much so, and with so much rage that other enemies around him were filled with terror and started backing off slowly. "Die already, die already. I'll kill you all. I'll kill you all. Get obliterated, incinerated. Curse be upon your forefathers who ever lived in this miserable, shameful, detestable, horrifying world. So die!" He shouted like a madman, and let his shout be heard all across the battlefield by aiming his shout at between the sky and the ground. At last, he ended his shout and looked at the bunch of enemies in front of him. Who's next? Even before waiting for a reply, he ran at them, then swung at one guy's eyes, cutting apart the nose bridge along with them, then stabbed through the stomach and kicked him down. "Feel the wrath of a raging man. Feel it. Feel it. And then you will remember me. You all vermins, just disappear from this world." Seth again stopped to shout. "Ah!" He then struck another Turk and made him collapse down. Then he jumped and used the force of the downward strike to cut off the Turk's neck. "Yeah!" I hate you all! I hate you all! I hate you all! You don't belong in this world! Suddenly, someone slashed at him from behind and kicked him down. Therefore, Seth glanced back and noticed another Turk trying to strike at his face. Thus, he swiftly rolled away and delivered a counter strike on the Turk's stomach. Seth stood up to shout again. More! Heavens above, I am fighting for you! After that, he continued slashing and stabbing until he had killed 20 enemies. I can still kill more. 5 more. Hear me. May my rage be your everlasting doom. Then Seth suddenly glanced right and saw a Turkish axeman who was about to swing his axe against him. There was no time to dodge or block, because that Turk was just way too close to Seth. Therefore, he grimaced and accepted his fate. Look at Seth. Is it just me or is he just very crazy right now? Apostle said. Lucio sneered. He's just a wannabe hero. Just watch, he'll eventually need help. Doesn't look like it. Wow, he's so amazing. That's a double kill already, Apostle said. Cakes had his mouth open as he stared at Seth and didn't say anything. Lucio looked at Apostios and grimaced. Just shut up, he's not amazing. Apostios blankly stared at Lucio. Hey, Lucio. Lucio stared back at Apostios. What? Do you? Apostios said. Just say it out already, Lucio said. Apostios sighed. You really hate him, huh? Lucio flinched and stepped back a bit. Uh, yes, I really hate that guy. Apostios had a look of concern. I just don't get why you hate him so much. He has feelings too, you know. Did something happen in the past? Lucio's mouth opened up slightly. Yeah, something did happen. He's a horrible bastard. Apostios flinched. That's really bad, but what exactly happened? Lucio's mouth opened up bigger, but he suddenly grimaced. Stop asking me that. I don't want to talk about it. It's just... He suddenly groaned and clenched his chest, but shook his head. That's none of your business. Apostios nodded. Okay, if you insist. After a while of looking around, he pointed at the enemies ahead. Look, the enemies are coming, so let's start shooting. Lucio frowned. Okay. He sighed upon looking at Apostios. Yeah, let's just shoot. They were standing on top of the forecastle. It gave them an excellent view from above everyone else, and encouraged massive and easy killing. The archers and crossbowmen were still busy hauling in the last of the goods, and the ship was becoming crowded. So Apostios found another way to help out the soldiers who were defending. Fortunately for Seth, fate didn't seem to come so soon, and he saw that Thomas had driven his halberd right into the axeman's left side of the ribcage and pushed him away. So the guy was just short of delivering a successful blow on Seth and even collapsed down onto the ground due to being pushed back. Therefore, Thomas pulled out his halberd and pierced at the Turk's neck to completely knock him out. Thomas looked at Seth. His axe is big. Your arms are exposed and that thing would have pierced through both your right arm and armor had I not intervened. Then he came over and tapped on Seth's back. Come on, Seth. You have killed enough, and it's time to go. Seth slowly nodded and followed as Thomas started jogging back. Yeah, but how long were you behind me? As long as you were out fighting. Thomas swiftly turned around and killed a Turk who was coming at him. But what made you? Why? Seth said. Thomas smirked. Well, I know that you often lose control and rage, so I figured that you shouldn't let loose out here without any proper support lest you die. I remind you again that your armor isn't strong enough. Then I noticed you weren't even wearing your armored sleeves. He sighed. Come on, Seth. You must always be wearing them too, if you're fighting all the way out here. Also, we just can't afford to lose a medical corpsman on a foolish rampage, so I kept watch over you. He then quickly came over to Seth and slashed another Turk who dared to come and attack Seth. Seth flinched and looked around to see what happened. So, you were killing other enemies behind me? How many did you kill? Thomas chuckled. I killed well over 30 for you, so don't go on rampaging like that again. Okay, Seth said. Then he looked at Thomas again. How did I not see him? Alright, so you guys heard those like my lagging noise? That's my tongue going off on its own, indicating that it needs some rest. So I would have to stop here. I wanted to finish up this last thing, but I just can't. My tongue is pretty much expired, so I'll take a rest and do it again. So thank you for listening, and I'll make sure to post up another video altogether.